This is a call for an uprising. We welcome you to today's show. We ask those of you who have not subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to expose the satanic Illuminati agenda. Today's show, I want to talk about a cartoon that airs on Adult Swim. The show is called Mr. Pickles. Sounds innocent enough. However, the show is a complete dedication to Satanism. It is a complete conditioning program created to reveal what really is going on behind the curtain, what these Satanists really do. And since it's a cartoon and not a show with actors or actresses, they can really show you what they do because there's no limitations in cartoons. You could have bestiality, you can have all of these things because the sheep don't want cartoons censored. They don't need to be censored because it's an animation, so it's not real, right? So they can have animals can be doing bestiality and all of these human sacrifices and stuff like that. It's not a big deal at all. So the plot of the show, it's about a family, but it revolves around a dog named Mr. Pickles. And the dog, who appears to be a great, loving family dog, when everybody goes to sleep or when nobody's looking, when the dog's not around, he's out committing satanic sacrifice, human sacrifice, killing people. You could see him dressed as a druid. Right, he's dressed as a druid. He comes out. He starts murdering people. They really reveal a lot of the stuff that goes on. And it's not a surprise because I'm sure the two creators of the show, who look like total scumbags, I'm sure that they have been indoctrinated in Satanism because they didn't just wake up one day and write this show without having a knowledge base of these, the pentagram and the human sacrifice and all of this stuff that they reveal, these sex orgy parties, all the stuff that goes on in Satanism. They didn't just wake up one morning and say, hey, this is a great idea. Obviously, the Satanists, the synagogue of Satan that exists out in Hollywood, wanted this show out there. They wanted a cartoon where they can put all this stuff out there, and then when crazy Christians like myself come out and talk about it, they can just go, get a sense of humor, get a sense of humor. But unfortunately for them, I know how mind control works. I study mind control. I've learned all about their tricks and all about what they do, and this is just another conditioning programming to condition 20-year-olds into, to being indoctrinated in Satanism at some point in time when they'll accept it. They're making it look cool and hip and funny, making light of human sacrifice and all this stuff that really goes on because it's a cartoon, so people don't take it seriously. So you can see the 666 symbolism in it, which is pretty clear. Constantly pentagrams are shown. Sacrifices inside of the pentagram. You could actually see the sex orgies that occur, which we know the Illuminati or the Synagogue of Satan out in Hollywood. We know that they perform and have these sex orgies all the time. Of course, Aleister Crowley talks a lot about the type of sex magic in his book Sex Magic, the type of black magic that they can get through pedophilia and having these sex orgies with many different people. So you see that. You also see bestiality, not a surprise. Now you could say, well, it's not really bestiality. They have the dog having sex, raping another animal. They constantly show like these different animals having sex with one another. The dog is obviously a representation of a human, right? I mean, it's a dog in the show, but it acts like a human being when nobody's looking around. But it's having sex with all these other animals. We know that they do bestiality. They're way into bestiality. They're into anything that you could possibly not imagine. They're doing it. So if you couldn't even fathom it, they're doing it. There's reports out there about how they do self-defecation up at Bohemian Grove on one another. That's what floats their boat. They hire these prostitutes and then they have them urinate on them or do a number two, so to speak, on them. That's how sick and perverse these people are. Okay, it's been reported by many truthers out there over the last couple of decades, that they eat their own feces and do stuff like that. So it's the most sick, perverse stuff you could imagine. So they're doing bestiality. Then you can see the goat sacrifice, which we know is a big part of Satanism. They sacrifice the goat. I showed you at the Black Mass down in Mexico, the video I did on that, where they slit the goat's throat as part of the ritual, and then they dump the blood on themselves and drink the blood and do all sorts of, disgusting acts with the blood. So you could see, even in that video game too that I exposed, you see the goat sacrifice in that, where the goat in the video game murders other goats and then brings them to the pentagram. So here you have all of these sacrificed goats laying around the pentagram as part of the ritual for Satan, to summon Satan and to give to their god, Satan. I think what's possibly the funniest thing to me about, which is so obvious because we know it's where this occurs And all of this goes on underground. We know they do it beneath churches. They do it in Masonic lodges. They do the abortion sacrifices below the abortion centers downstairs. So the dog, has a underground lair, like an underground tunnel or an underground city where he has all of his sacrifices down there. He has his altar, his chair with the Baphomet on it that he sits in, his throne. And he has all of these human slaves, as you can see. Some guy named Steve tied to a chain, a human sex slave, because they have human sex slaves. These people have people tied up. They have people in cages. They hide them out in the hills or underground that are just strictly sex slaves for these people. I've told you about child sex trafficking. They take these kids. They don't just sacrifice these kids. They keep them locked up and they bring them out for sexual orgies and all of these satanic rituals they perform on these certain dates in the satanic calendar or whenever their appetite, for this perverse pedophilia comes, they let the child out, or I guess in some cases adults or, teenagers. So here you have the dog has his own sex slave. So funny, right? I could see the sheep watching it cracking up, not realizing that one day these idiots who watch this and think it's cool, they're going to think, even if they try to join it, they're going to be bottom level Satanists. They're going to be sex slaves for these elitists too. People like us will be killed off because we won't go with it. But these people who think it's cool and funny, one day they might end up as sex slaves. So we'll see how funny it is to them when that happens. When the truth is revealed to them on Judgment Day, when Jesus Christ returns, when they see all the stuff is revealed that these people did, we'll see their faces when they realize that they were a part of a scam like this, that all this satanic stuff was going on and hidden from them, and they refused to listen and they refused to believe what was going on. And all of these children who have been brutally murdered and sacrificed for the bloodlust and the sexual lust that these elitists have for Satan. Somehow this show got picked up for a second season. I was not familiar there even was a season 1, but you learn something new every day, even if it is repulsive as learning about this show. And of course, it's allowed to be aired. And I know that they say, well, it's not for children because it's Adult Swim, but give me a break, okay? Kids, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds have tablets and devices. They can look at pornography. They can watch whatever they want. So they pretend that these shows are for 20 to 30-year-olds. That's the real audience. Last time I checked, a kid will watch any type of cartoon there is. I remember when I was 10 to 12 years old, Beavis and Butthead in those shows, they claimed that they were for adults, but kids were watching it. There's 5-year-olds wearing Beavis and Butthead shirts. So don't give me this crap that they direct this at an adult audience because it's on a channel called Adult Swim. Cartoons are for children. Cartoons are for babies. I'm sorry if you're someone out there who's an adult who loves cartoons. They're for babies. They're for children. And they're really there as a program for mind control. They use the cartoons to do that. That's how they've been doing it with MK Ultra all these years. Through cartoons like Alice in Wonderland and through these Disney cartoons. But I guess there's 20-year-olds sitting at home watching this garbage. But like I said, there will be children that watch it. There will be children that get indoctrinated and learn all of this satanic ritual stuff that they do. They'll see it as cool, right? Ooh, he's got slaves underground. He's cutting people's heads off. I mean, this is exactly what they want. This is what they want to turn the world into. Their perverse fantasy land. You have the movie The Purge. Everybody thinks it's the coolest thing ever. Everybody's running around committing murders. You can get away with any crime you want for a day. Yeah, it sounds real cool until it really happens. Then these people are going to cower down. Or maybe they will run around and kill other people like sickos. Because they're conditioning people to want to do this stuff. They're making it look cool to, use a chainsaw on somebody's head in a cartoon and then bring their body inside of a pentagram surrounded by candles and perform a ritual to Satan. Because that's exactly what they're doing. But of course, since it's a cartoon and it's a dog, nobody's going to take it seriously except us crazy Christians. Because that's exactly what they do. That's how they twist it. They go, this isn't offensive. Have a sense of humor. Because they don't realize that they're doing this in real life. And they're using this cartoon as a conditioning program to condition you into accepting this stuff. Because this is going to be coming out of the darkness and brought into the light. So don't sit there and be a naive fool and think, oh yeah, it's just a cartoon. What do you think? These guys just woke up one day and they were like, let's do a cartoon about a dog. And then let's put all these actual satanic rituals in there. Like they weren't indoctrinated with it, that they're not a part of it. They just happen to create a cartoon and get hundreds of thousands of dollars to create it and go on this network. That's not how it works. You don't come up with a creative idea and get into Hollywood, okay? You are indoctrinated with Satanism, and all of these shows are programming that promote Satanism, that promote their agenda, and everybody else is left in the dust. You don't just become, oh, I'm creative, I have a great idea, maybe I'll make it in Hollywood. It doesn't work like that. They want you to think it works like that so they can crush your dreams and crush your hopes and keep you distracted and depressed and not waking up to what's really going on, thinking, man, I wanted to be an actor. I'm going to keep trying. You're not getting anywhere. You might do something on Broadway. You might do something at a local theater. Unless you're committing human sacrifice and you have a connection to one of these people that's going to let you in on the inside, you're not doing anything, because this is bloodline related. Okay, this is selling souls we're talking about here.